I dated the wealthy heiress Willow for 3 years, just as I was hesitating over whether I should propose to her. I saw her say in a group chat, "If he dares to bring up marriage, I'll dump him on the spot." I was so scared that I immediately opened an online shopping site and placed an order for a dirt cheap ring, 99 yuan with free shipping. Hesitating for even 1 second would be disrespectful to money. Everyone knows Willow is rich and foolish. And every one of her exes walked away from the breakup with a massive payout. I waited 3 years. This once-in-a-lifetime windfall was finally going to be mine. Chapter 1. The 3rd year of my relationship with Willow. My mom suddenly called to urge me to get married. "George, when are you and Willow planning to get married?" I frowned, irritation rising in my chest. "Willow doesn't have any plans to get married right now," I replied. My mom refused to let it go. "If she doesn't want to, can't you take the initiative? You're almost 28. What you should be doing is settling down with Willow as soon as possible." Back when I was sick, if Willow hadn't pulled strings to find a doctor to operate on me, I might already be dead, and your dad's company would have gone under long ago without her. Girls like Willow don't come around often. You absolutely can't miss your chance. When it's time for a man to take the initiative, he needs to step up. After hanging up, I sat on the couch in a daze for a long while. Then Willow came in, her fair, slender arms wrapped around my waist, snapping me back to reality. I turned my head. The face that once made me lose myself slowly filled my vision. Her full, rosy lips drew close to me. As our breaths mingled, I caught a trace of a woody scent that didn't belong to her. I'd been smelling it on her for 3 days in a row. That morning, before she left the house, she had still smelled of fresh gardenias. I thought about this as I leaned back onto the couch. Willow pressed close to my ear, her voice hoarse with unspent desire. "Am I not kissing you deeply enough? What are you thinking about so hard?" I didn't want to deal with her. I closed my eyes and said nothing. When Willow tried to go further, I stopped her hand. "I'm really exhausted from work today." She frowned and clicked her tongue, then stood up decisively. Not long after, the sound of running water came from the bathroom. I adjusted my rumpled collar and let out a long breath. My gaze swept around and landed on the phone she'd left on the couch. The screen suddenly lit up with a new message. I picked up the phone. Someone in her close friends group chat had tagged her. "If you're going to break up, give me a heads up." I quite like his type. My heart jolted violently. I tilted my head, listening to the steady sound of water still coming from the bathroom. I opened her group chat. Messages kept pouring in one after another. "Willow, have you suddenly changed your nature or what? You actually kept this boyfriend for 3 years. Maybe you're planning to settle down and get married." Willow replied, "Married? Don't be ridiculous. I have no such plans. In my eyes, he's just something to kill time. You might not want to, but there's no guarantee the guy doesn't dot." Willow replied, "Tisk, if he dares to bring up marriage, I'll dump him immediately." The screen filled with ha ha ha. And after that came the message that had just popped up. I blinked, and the irritation that had been weighing on me suddenly turned into excitement. I'd heard that every one of Willow's boyfriends received a huge breakup compensation when they split up. My mom was right. When it's time for a man to take the initiative, he really should. I thought it was time for me to propose to Willow. Chapter 2. The reason I started dating Willow was purely because I was too much of a simp. 3 years ago, my senior David and I partnered up to open a game studio. Willow was one of the investors David brought in. In the early days of the business, facing our financial backers, both David and I bent over backward to please them, because I was especially good at reading people's moods. I outsimped David just a little. As a result, Willow misunderstood and thought I was pursuing her. At one dinner gathering, as usual, I spent the whole night drinking on Willow's behalf because she couldn't hold her liquor. On the way to dropping David and me off, she suddenly spoke up. "You've been chasing me for so long without getting any response. Must be exhausting." "Huh?" I was dizzy from the alcohol and asked blankly, "What?" We happened to stop at a red light. Willow turned to look at me. That intoxicating face of hers was filled with undisguised arrogance. "You don't need to feel embarrassed. A lot of people like me, and a lot of people pursue me." I immediately realized she had misunderstood and started to explain. "You've misunder." The next second, David, who had passed out drunk against the seat back, lost his balance and collapsed onto me. The sudden pain instantly reminded me of one crucial fact. Willow was our investor. So I fell silent. When Willow parked the car in the underground garage of the apartment complex, her hands rested on the steering wheel. Her long black hair fell casually across her forehead. Beneath her delicate brows were eyes so deep they were unfathomable. Her refined features looked cold, alluring, and effortlessly detached. In the night, she let out a soft laugh and advised me, "You should know I've dated many men. You should also know there's someone I've always kept hidden in my heart. I won't accept you, so give it up." I didn't want to lose her investment, so I stayed silent. But that silence instantly turned me from a humble party bee in a modern workplace drama into a full-blown simp in a trashy romance story. David wasn't wrong. She had already rejected me anyway. I stupidly believed him and continued to fawn over Willow in the same submissive, client-pleasing way. Then one day, Willow's brain suddenly seemed to malfunction. She unilaterally announced that she had accepted my pursuit. David said again, "It's fine. It's fine." Her longest relationship was only 3 months, and every one of her ex-boyfriends got a huge breakup payout. Thinking of Willow's unparalleled beauty, that slim waist, curvy hips, and long legs, the massive breakup compensation, and my parents constantly pushing me to go on blind dates, I admit it. My heart wavered, half pushed, half willing. I agreed to David's terrible idea, and then 3 years passed. My mom even started urging me to get married. Willow still hadn't dumped me, nor had she shown any concrete cheating behavior. Even the rumored crush of hers in Germany never appeared. Fairly speaking, over these 3 years, aside from not loving me, Willow fulfilled her duties as a girlfriend quite well. She could hold her own in formal settings and was more than capable in private. When my mom fell ill and couldn't get a hospital bed, she solved everything with a single phone call. When my dad's company was on the verge of bankruptcy, she helped out and invested another sum of money. Everyone around me praised her. They said she was worth me swallowing my pride and chasing her for so long. They all hoped I would marry her, even if she had unclear boundaries with the opposite sex and massive flaws in emotional fidelity. But they were bound to be disappointed. After I proposed, she would only dump me, and I, heartbroken, would cling to my huge breakup payout and cry my eyes out. Chapter 3. After Willow fell asleep, I pulled out my phone and checked a major online shopping platform. My bank account had nearly 8 figures in savings. Yet even a 99 yuan ring made me hesitate to place the order. As I wavered, images flashed through my mind, her belittling me in her close friends group chat, and the unfamiliar man's cologne lingering on her body. I immediately closed the site and switched to another, even lower-end platform. After carefully picking out a 9 yuan ring, I finally went to sleep, fully satisfied. Chapter 4. I set the proposal date on Willow's birthday. I arranged a party at her seaside villa. To make the proposal more perfect, I privately informed every single one of her friends. "This Saturday, you're warmly invited to Willow's birthday party, and to witness our relationship finally bearing fruit." Not long after sending the mass message, I received a flood of question marks. I picked one of her friends, the loudest mouth and the least reliable, and replied, "Yes, I'm planning to propose to Willow at the birthday party. Remember to keep it a secret." Big Mouth really was Big Mouth. The night before her birthday, the look in Willow's eyes when she looked at me was extremely complicated. All evening, she hovered around me, clearly wanting to speak but holding back. I knew she wanted me to ask what was wrong, so she could casually steer the conversation toward how she didn't want to get married, but I couldn't play along. I leaned down, kissed her forehead gently, and said softly, "Darling, shall we?" Willow stiffened. For the first time ever, she pushed me away. "Didn't you say you were very tired lately?" I nodded and put on a disappointed expression. "All right then, I'll go to sleep." I lifted the blanket, tucked myself in, and quickly closed my eyes. About 10 minutes later, faint rustling sounds filled the room. I quietly opened my eyes. Willow was bent over, rummaging through my drawer. A few minutes later, she picked up her phone and left the room. I got up and walked to the door. Willow was sitting in the living room, on a call. I couldn't find a ring at home. "Are you sure he's proposing tomorrow?" Whatever the person on the other end said made Willow visibly irritated. "If he really dares to force a proposal in public, I'll break up with him on the spot and make him lose face in front of everyone." Hearing this, I returned to bed and lay down comfortably. Chapter 5. That Saturday, I opened the package delivered by the property manager, took out the ring, and drove straight to the villa. No flowers, no gifts. I brought only a sincere heart to celebrate Willow's birthday. That night, the party was crowded. Everyone who knew the truth looked at me strangely. Pity, contempt, amusement. They made no effort to hide their eagerness to watch the drama unfold. Their gazes locked tightly on me. Willow was the same, except there was also hesitation and reluctance on her face. When the 8-tier cake was wheeled out, I lit the candles and smiled at her. "Darling, happy birthday. Make a wish." Willow looked at me with complicated eyes, then blew out all the candles in one breath. Pointedly, she said, "Getting through tonight peacefully is my greatest wish." Unfortunately for her, that wish was doomed to go unfulfilled. The next second, I dropped to one knee in front of her and spoke with deep affection. "Willow, I love you. Will you marry me?" An uproar swept through the room. In the corner of my vision, those in the know all wore I knew it expressions. Willow, however, stood frozen, her face stiff. No one shouted for her to say yes, only mocking laughter filled the air. I chose the perfect moment to look awkward. I panicked and looked at Willow, hoping she would rescue me, but Willow didn't care about me, and naturally had no intention of defending me. She fell silent for a moment before smiling faintly. "Before we started dating, I told you I had someone I liked, didn't I?" I nodded. "I know, but later you liked me, otherwise why would you date me for 3 years? I think it's time for us to get married." Even though Willow had never once said she liked me, as expected, she denied it. No liking. I thought you knew this was just a casual relationship. My face went deathly pale in an instant, but my fingers could still tremble. My teeth could still bite down on my lower lip. My voice could still choke, carrying a sob. Willow, what did you say? Willow brushed aside the hand holding the ring, her voice cold. What I mean is, you crossed the line. I've never loved you. We're over. The ring clinked as it rolled across the floor. I raised my hand and wiped my eyes, tears falling in humiliation. I stared stubbornly at Willow, eyes wide, silently begging her not to treat me like this. But Willow merely turned away indifferently, her back to me, amid the crowd's laughter. I finally couldn't take it anymore and staggered out of the villa. Chili is really spicy. What do you do when you can't stop crying? Also, how much is the breakup fee? Chapter 6. After the crying protagonist of the proposal farce ran off, the people at the party began discussing it freely. Honestly speaking, Willow's boyfriend is pretty handsome. Great body too. Well, duh. If he didn't look like that, how could Willow have dated him for 3 years? TSK. What a pity. The guy just had bad timing. His proposal happened to coincide with Makoto coming back to the country. That man is the one Willow's always kept in her heart. To avoid any misunderstanding from her true love, of course she had to cut things off with him completely. As the chatter went on, someone who had just rushed to the party straight from the airport, harboring ill intentions for years, called out to Willow, I'm kind of lacking company lately. You wouldn't mind if I went after your ex-boyfriend, would you? Before Willow could answer, the people around burst into laughter. Miss Freya, are you serious? Why not? Do you think what I said in the group chat was a joke? Seeing the ugly look on Willow's face, Freya smiled faintly. I don't think Willow would mind. After all, her real crush came back 3 days ago. Following Freya's gaze, Makoto appeared at the party, dressed in a bespoke suit, elegant and refined. The scene fell silent for a moment. Those who knew what Willow was thinking all turned to look at her, under the dazzling lights. He smiled brightly and slowly walked toward Willow. Willow, happy birthday. Willow smiled and thanked him, but in her heart, there was none of the joy she had imagined. This was clearly a breakup performance she had played along with, deliberately staged for the men she had secretly loved for years. Yet her mind kept replaying the image of George running out in tears, when her gaze unintentionally swept past her best friend, Freya. A shadow flickered in Willow's eyes, and an inexplicable irritation rose within her. She couldn't help thinking, what if Freya really went after George? The next second, she firmly denied it. Impossible. George liked her too much. Besides, breaking up with him was only a temporary measure. Freya, standing nearby, had no idea what Willow was thinking at that moment. She swirled her wineglass, hiding in a corner as she smiled and watched the seemingly perfect pair before her. She thought to herself that Willow should stay locked together with Makoto for life. Only then would it be worth the past 2 years she'd spent suppressing her jealousy while staying close to Willow. Yes, ever since she saw George again, she had known she needed to become Willow's close friend, because she wanted George. Chapter 7. I went back to the apartment I used to live in with Willow, and started packing my things. This sapphire cufflink, I definitely had to take it. Those limited edition leather shoes, I wasn't leaving them behind either. TSK. And that Rolex watch. Any other proud, image-conscious male lead would definitely leave these behind. But I'm not like that. I'm a man with a very high sense of entitlement. If you gave it to me, then it's mine. I wasn't letting a single thing go. After packing everything up, I dragged my suitcase toward the door. Then I ran straight into Willow, who was coming in. She stood in the entryway, staring at me intently. Shouldn't she still be enjoying her party? My grip on the suitcase handle tightened unconsciously. Willow's gaze was dark as she demanded, where are you going? Another business trip for work? Do you really need to bring this much luggage for a business trip? Calm and composed, as if nothing had happened, as if she weren't the ex-girlfriend who, 2 hours ago, rejected my proposal, and publicly announced that we were over. There was nothing to say. I dragged my suitcase and kept walking, but as I passed Willow, she suddenly yanked the suitcase back. No idea what kind of madness she was having. I looked up and asked politely, is there something you need? Willow's breath hitched, her chest rising and falling. Then, all of a sudden, her tone softened. I'm sorry about tonight, but I didn't mean to break up with you. Don't be angry. Breaking up, but not actually breaking up. My expression nearly cracked as I blurted out instinctively. Then you're not planning to give me a breakup fee. Why did everyone else get one after dating for a month? But I got nothing after 3 years. In an instant, Willow's expression turned ugly. Her beautiful face twisted in disbelief. So you were with me for the money? Our relationship started because of a misunderstanding. But after 3 years, I wasn't a block of wood. Half a year ago, my parents had hinted repeatedly on the phone that I should visit Willow's parents. That day, Willow and I were eating at a restaurant. After hearing that, she said nothing, only gave me an amused smile. At that moment, I knew she had never loved me. I won't love someone who doesn't love me. So I fell in love with her money. with reddened eyes. I gave a bitter smile. Then what else? Are you going to marry me? As the words fell, tears followed. I wiped my face hard and said calmly, 3 days ago, there was an unfamiliar men's cologne on you, a new boy toy, or the person you've always kept in your heart, or maybe a new employee from your company. At the mention of that person, Willow's eyelashes trembled. So it really was. I let out a bitter smile and dragged my suitcase toward the door. Breaking up is fine. I'm making room for you. I know when to leave, just remember to transfer the breakup fee to my card. Willow took a deep breath and blocked the doorway. Today's breakup was just an act for him to see. I never meant for you to leave. Everything stays the same. That was the first time I truly grasped how shameless Willow could be. I laughed in anger and slapped her across the face. You dump me and expect me to be your side piece. Dream on. With the handprint on her face, Willow's expression instantly turned livid. Don't push your luck. Once you leave, there's no turning back. She said it with agitation, even kicking my suitcase away violently. The suitcase hadn't been latched properly. Gifts she'd given me spilled all over the floor. Among them was a pair of clay figurines. We'd had them made last year while traveling. Little figures molded in our likeness at a small town, at a brightly lit ancient town night market. She had dragged an awkward me onto an old, time-worn bench. The old craftsman making the figurines had laughed cheerfully and praised us. Young man and young lady, you're both so good-looking, perfect match. I'll make you a pair of figurines and guarantee your love lasts forever. His craftsmanship was good. His judgment was not. Willow and I were never meant to last, and the clay figurines he made were now completely shattered. A relationship that began in error ended in ruin, just like those little clay figures. I should have let go long ago. I bent down and packed everything except the broken figurines back into the suitcase. After closing it, I looked up at Willow and said softly, I won't come back. It's really over. With a loud bang, the door was slammed so hard it shook the walls. Willow left without looking back. I let out a breath and squatted down, finally relaxing. After a moment's thought, I called David. Assign me as the head of the S-City branch, he replied. Then you and Willow will be long distance. The person in charge has to stay there for at least half a year. It's fine, I said. We've already broken up. Chapter 8. On the night I arrived in S-City, I received a text notification from my bank, an 8-figure breakup fee. It truly qualified as an astronomical sum. I counted the zeros after the transfer amount, and laughed for a good while, before my mouth could split from smiling too hard. I started looking up online how to become a qualified ex. The most authoritative answer on Jihu said, treat yourself as if you were dead. Cut off all contact with your ex. I blocked Willow's phone number and deleted her on WeChat. After thinking it over, I also unfollowed her on TikTok. Just as I finished doing that, TikTok suddenly pushed a video to me. Inside a luxurious villa, under dazzling lights, a beautiful woman was dressed in a black haute couture gown. One hand elegantly held a wine glass. The other rested casually on the sofa. In the noisy environment, she radiated a low-pressure aura of irritation, even with a sour expression on her face. Every movement she made exuded an enviable air of languid elegance and nobility. But just as the atmosphere buzzed with excitement, the crowd around her suddenly parted to form a narrow path. An exceptionally handsome man walked toward her. Standing at the center, he smiled warmly and said something I couldn't hear. The previously irritated woman showed a faint smile on her face. The video was posted by one of Willow's friends. I subconsciously glanced at the caption, a golden boy and a jade girl, made for each other. Then I looked at the tags. After countless hardships, reunited after a long separation, broken mirrors made whole again. So this was Willow's white knight from Germany. No wonder the woody scent on her had belonged to him. I followed the crowd, tapped a like, and left a comment, wishing you everlasting happiness. Then I closed my phone, bored. A momentary misunderstanding. 3 years of a relationship. I was calmer than I'd imagined, even though, not long ago. In outsiders' eyes, Willow loved me very much. She was aloof, but she went to and from work with me. She disliked traveling, but as long as I said I wanted to go, she would accompany me. She didn't like public displays of affection. Yet whenever I leaned in to kiss her, she would rise onto her toes first and kiss me back. At the beginning, I truly felt nothing for her, but feelings grow with time. I once thought she would fall in love with me, the same way I fell in love with her. Unfortunately, she didn't. Fortunately, I loved money more. Everything turned out just right. I closed my eyes and had a good dream. Chapter 9. On the 7th day after Makoto returned to the country, he organized a gathering with friends. Willow was there too. Makoto was the white knight Willow had longed for but never truly obtained. Whenever Makoto appeared, Willow would always appear at his side. If he needed her, she would be there without fail. The only time she failed to do so was not long ago, at her birthday party. That day, Willow dumped George right in front of Makoto. Yet after George left, Willow found herself distracted. She held Makoto and danced with him. Despite being an excellent dancer, she was absent-minded that night and stepped on Makoto's feet several times. After one song, she even used work as an excuse to leave early. She drove along a familiar road. A friend called her. "You're not regretting breaking up with George, are you?" Willow denied it. Of course not. The one she loved was Makoto. George was nothing more than a way to pass the time. But 3 years were enough for George to leave a mark deep in her heart. Willow felt a hint of reluctance. She thought, George had followed her for so long. She should treat him a little better. For example, quietly keeping him in one of her apartments. As she thought about it, she arrived at the place they had lived together for nearly 3 years. She wanted to share with George the good news that they wouldn't really be breaking up. But George refused. He even asked her for a breakup fee. As Willow sat there in a daze, Makoto noticed. He reached out, took the hand resting on her knee, and smilingly tossed the conversation topic back to her. "Willow, everyone says the apartments over at Shingshu are very livable. Is that why you stay there so often?" Willow recalled that the surrounding business district of that apartment was nothing special. The greenery didn't match the housing price. And the property management was just average, compared to other, better residences. She didn't actually like it that much. She stayed at Shingshu so often simply because it was more convenient for George's commute. As Willow nodded absent-mindedly, Makoto smiled meaningfully and said to her, "I'm thinking of moving there too. Do you have any recommendations?" The friends started to egg them on. "What's there to recommend? Just move in together." Makoto looked at Willow and didn't deny it. Let Makoto move into the apartment she shared with George. Willow felt some resistance. She smiled gently at Makoto and said, "Okay." She decided she would have her secretary buy another flat in that complex the next day. After the gathering ended, Willow took Makoto back to her apartment in the city center. The two of them tangled together in bed for a long time. After it was over, Willow's body was satisfied. But a hollow emptiness welled up inside her. She missed George. She wondered if he had regretted breaking up with her. At 3 in the morning, Willow's longing for George reached its peak. Ignoring Makoto sleeping soundly beside her, she got out of bed, leaving Makoto's calls behind her. She drove away. The roads were empty, with only a few scattered cars. She drove along familiar streets, thinking about what she should say when she saw George again. Say a few soothing words. Buy more gifts. Before she could decide, she had already arrived. After hesitating for a long while, she opened the door. An empty, hollow atmosphere rushed toward her. After taking just a few steps, Willow felt something under her foot. She looked down. It was the shattered clay figurine from that day. Panic surged through Willow. She rushed into the room and loudly called George's name. There was no one inside. No response. The apartment seemed frozen in time. Stuck at the moment she argued with him and left. A dull, indescribable pain pressed against her heart. George, this time, he was really breaking up with her. Chapter 10. On my third day in S City. The video of my rejected proposal was secretly recorded and uploaded to TikTok. For no apparent reason, it went viral. Over 1 million likes. The comments looked heavily moderated, all unanimously tearing into me. Netizens even gave me a nickname, Simp Master. I wasn't sad. I was actually a little excited. Just as I was about to contact David, he called me first, perfectly in sync. "George, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity is coming. Our new game is about to launch, and you're bringing your own traffic." I've already had people subtly spread the word that the Simp Masters game is launching soon. By then, whether people are scolding you or sympathizing with you for being cheated on, they'll all come take a look. Looks like we can save a huge chunk of marketing budget again. Ha ha ha. I barely suppressed the grin creeping onto my face and reminded him indirectly, "David, this hype came from me getting my proposal rejected. I'm still heartbroken, you know. Could you show a little compassion?" David scoffed with a dismissive tch. After a long pause, he grudgingly said, "How about transferring 1/3 of the marketing budget we saved into your account?" I immediately brightened up. "Thanks, David." After some banter, David finally brought up Willow. "Do you really not like Willow at all? Beautiful face, great body, excellent at pleasing people. What man wouldn't like that?" I sighed softly and said, "But she's dirty. No matter how good she is, I can't take her anymore." David burst out laughing. "Good, as long as you can think like that. Oh right, let the video ferment for a few more days. Then the company will clarify things for you, and we'll push the game launch at the same time." After hanging up, I received a message from Freya on WeChat. The video was uploaded by one of the rich playboys who was there. "Want to clarify?" I refused. "Don't touch it. Let it ferment for 2 more days. I'm promoting the new game." Chapter 11. 2 days later, David had people release my position in the company, and leak that our game was about to launch. Curious netizens flooded the company account. "Your company hired a simp master. ISN proposing in public, just forcing marriage." If someone has no intention, public confessions or proposals are disgusting, regardless of gender. This simp master caused such huge negative impact. Are you sure you're not firing him? Why launch a game? Fire the simp master first. Hate-driven popularity was still popularity. Our company went completely viral when David felt the timing was right. One night, he had someone release screenshots of Willow's group chat with her friends. The Willow who was proposed to had known about my plan from start to finish. She didn't stop it. She even gathered many people to come watch my humiliation up close. The tide of public opinion instantly reversed. Netizens also dug up the massive disparity in status between Willow and me. Most people sympathize with the weaker party. All at once, fewer people were scolding me. At the same time, the company reposted the earlier video one of Willow's friends had uploaded, the one of her and Makoto's long-awaited reunion. The scene in that video was identical to the scene of my proposal. On the exact same day, netizens who realized they'd been used as tools immediately turned their fury toward Willow and Makoto. They dug up Willow's and Makoto's accounts and flooded them with abuse. Cheating bitch, trashman. Those words filled their comment sections. Willow and Makoto were completely socially cancelled online and were forced to delete their accounts. As for me, the victim, the game I was responsible for was downloaded and tried out by countless curious users. In this farce, I won beautifully from beginning to end. As for Makoto being ordered to leave the country to avoid the storm, and Willow being pushed out of the heir position by her younger brother, who cares? Chapter 12. The first 3 months in S City were extremely busy. When things finally eased up a bit, I went to a lounge bar to relax. Fiber is a really good song, right? I just love this singer's voice so much. The one who struck up a conversation with me was a young woman from the bar. She looked innocent, with a sweet smile, not my type. Faced with her attempt to flirt, I casually started gesturing at her. The young woman froze in shock. Are you mute? I smiled and nodded. She left regretfully. I enjoyed the piece and stayed to listen for a while longer, but not long after. Someone else sat down. There was also an extra glass of my favorite gin and tonic placed in front of me. I pretended to be drunk and was about to gesture my refusal, when a lazy chuckle came from the booth. I looked up and saw Freya. She was wearing a white dress and leaning against the bar. The deep V neckline revealed hints of spring scenery, making her look like a seductive enchantress. She smiled and said, "If gesturing is tiring, just have a drink." I was speechless. I picked up the glass and struck first. Even if I've broken up with Willow, I'm not getting involved with you. Freya clicked her tongue. Getting involved? That sounds awful. As if she were some innocent little white rabbit. Back when this brat first met me, the very first thing she said was, "Do you want to try me?" And now she thinks it sounds awful. Chapter 13. Freya was my senior from my undergraduate university, 1 year above me, and a truly nasty person. The first time we met was at the campus swimming pool. Back then, I was a total non-swimmer. I took advantage of the low turnout during finals week to learn how to swim. Freya was there too. I accidentally started drowning, and she was the one who dragged me back to shore. When I finally caught my breath and was about to thank her, she looked me up and down a few times and suddenly said, "Do you want to be with me?" I froze. She patiently explained, "I'll pay you. Be my boyfriend." At the time, I hadn't started a studio with David yet, and didn't care about money, so I cursed at her. In your dreams. After that, every time I saw her, I cursed her out, right up until she went abroad. Because of our social circles, we lost contact. Years passed. After I started dating Willow, she brought me to one of her friends' gatherings. At the dinner table, I saw Freya again, still trashy as ever. She tried to poach me behind Willow's back. She already has someone in her heart. Don't date her. Date me. In the cramped restroom, under the lights. Her face, even with a frown, was strikingly beautiful. Time really does temper people. It even teaches dogs how to speak human language. But I don't like dogs. I rejected her again. No, I love her. After that, she didn't bring it up again, and I treated her like a stranger. When Willow said in the group chat that she'd dump me if I ever brought up marriage, Freya was the one who absurdly asked Willow whether she could be notified in advance when we broke up. She was even afraid I wouldn't be able to separate from Willow. After Makoto returned to the country, she compiled everything about Willow getting entangled with him into a PowerPoint and sent it to me. Now that I'd come to S City, she followed me here too. I only had 2 days off a week, and she spent both hovering around me. I raised an eyebrow and tilted my head. "You like me?" Freya nodded. "What do you like about me?" Her gaze moved from my face, to my chest, to my legs. I was dumbfounded. That shallow. She went silent for a moment, as if remembering something, then snorted with laughter. "Fine. Also, the dog paddle way you flailed when you couldn't swim was very attractive." Just as I was about to curse her out, she added, "And you're really handsome. You have a lethal physical attraction to me. The first moment I saw you, I knew I wanted to die on you." I rubbed my arms, covered in goosebumps, and summarized the key point. "So, senior, you're just lusting after my body." Freya stayed silent. Freya nodded. The dim lighting of the lounge bar made people's minds sway, looking at her graceful figure, beautiful face, and the elegance in every movement. This time, I didn't curse her. I nodded and asked. Then do you want to be with me? Freya froze. Then her face flushed red. She nodded. Then, trying to remain reserved, she asked. Starting tonight? I took her back to my place in S City. That night, I twisted her every which way. She accepted everything with delight. I wiped the sweat from her forehead, enjoying her attentiveness. When we were both exhausted, I held her in my arms. In a hoarse, satisfied voice, she said, I'm sure I can't leave you anymore. Chapter 14. I didn't like Freya all that much, but she really was presentable in public. And her sense of service was far better than Willow's, although she still occasionally acted inhuman. I'm a generous man. I don't bother arguing over such things. A magnanimous man always lets go of trivial, unimportant matters. For example, Makoto added me on WeChat and publicly announced his relationship with Willow on Moments. Freya refused to be outdone. She clung to me and took a photo of us holding hands. Then she secretly posted it on her Moments, with the caption, After years, wishes fulfilled. She even deliberately tagged Willow in the comments. When I saw it, I smiled. I wasn't angry. I liked the way she schemed for my sake. Later, I reflected on whether I'd started to like her. At the time, a palace harem drama was playing on TV. Then it hit me. I didn't love her. I just wanted to be the emperor. I enjoyed watching people go all out to please me, especially Freya. Chapter 15. After staying in S City for a year, the branch office finally found a suitable person to take charge. I was able to return to a city. On the day I returned, Freya was still on a business trip. On her way back, I dragged my suitcase alone and took a cab to the largest mall in the city. It was Freya's mother's birthday. Since I had already met her parents, it was only right that I prepare a gift. Just as I stepped out of the store with the present, I ran into Willow at the corner. She froze when she saw me, her gaze burning. Willow looked left and right. When she realized no one was beside me, she let out a sigh of relief. Freya's family background is out of your league. Did she dump you already? That fast? I found her meddlesome and rolled my eyes. We've already broken up. It has nothing to do with you. I carried the gift and walked off quickly. But she grabbed my wrist. Willow's eyes were dark, her expression full of concern for my own good. I just don't want you to get hurt by her. I found it ridiculous. The only person who had ever hurt me was clearly her. Yet after the breakup, she was suddenly worried that the people around me would hurt me. So, I sneered. George, let's get back together. Freya never planned to marry you either. Today is her mother's birthday. If she wanted to marry you, she would definitely bring you to the family banquet. Obviously, she didn't. Before Willow could finish, a cool, clear female voice cut in. Willow, do you have any morals at all? Stealing your best friend's men in public? I looked up. It was Freya. She walked past Willow and came to my side, hooking her arm through mine. Willow's gaze darkened. She was so angry she laughed instead. So who's stealing whose men? Exactly. Freya replied lazily. You are. Then she tugged me around and spoke softly in my ear. Husband, there are lots of dishes you love at the birthday banquet. You must be hungry. Let's hurry back. I nodded and let her lead me forward. As we passed Willow, Freya's eyes were full of contempt. She mouthed a silent word at Willow. Trash. Leaving Willow behind. She smiled and kissed my cheek. With pointed intent, she said, Husband, I'm not the kind of trash who doesn't know how to love, or who can't even make decisions about their own marriage. I couldn't stand how smug she looked. So I brought up her old line again. Do you want to get involved with me? Freya's expression froze completely. Heh, I really do have a good memory. Chapter 16. In my second year with Freya, I turned 30. Early one morning, my mom called. George, when are you and Freya planning to get married? She doesn't have any plans to marry me right now. I replied to my mom the same way I had 2 years ago. She paused, then asked tentatively. Then, should we change to another girlfriend? Mom, can't I just not get married? I argued with my mom for half an hour before hanging up helplessly. Freya clung to me, looking pitiful. Mom misunderstood me. I said I would agree. I nodded and perfunctorily patted her head. Freya wouldn't let it go. She kissed my fingertips, moving upward, then buried herself at my neck. She glanced at me, sucked once, then pressed against me relentlessly. When I finally couldn't take it anymore, she dropped the pitiful act and used shameless tactics to force the question. Will you marry me? George, why aren't you saying anything? I nodded slightly and said, okay. I wasn't opposed to marriage, especially not with a woman like Freya, talented, beautiful, and wealthy. Marrying Freya, even if we didn't last to the end, I could be sure that what I gained would outweigh what I lost. There is no such thing as a right choice in this world. What I need to do is work hard enough to make my original choice become the right one.